Well, Doc, another NHL season upon us here, and this is the time of year we live for, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is the most special time of the year, getting started again after having a short summer, after having a long one. I know yours was a short one this year. There have been 10 of those in Bears history, and I congratulate the team yet again. It makes me feel good whenever Hershey does well at something, and almost invariably, every 2 or 3 years, it's another championship. Somebody's going to hire Yingst away. I hope it never happens.
I'll make sure he sees that part of it.
Unless it's somewhere that I'm working, and that's different.
I know you and I chatted before we turned on the tape about Mrs. Mathers presenting Doug with his Calder Cup ring last Saturday. Yeah. You spent a lot of time in Hershey, and obviously you know the significance of that.
Yeah, and I was glad that there was such an ovation because Pat really represented what was so good about that franchise, because Frank did. This was a family that was really linked with Hershey and had been for over 30 years. When John Sollenberger took Frank on that famous roller coaster ride, trying to convince him to come to Hershey, Pat was on the roller coaster ride too, and I think it was 3 or 4 times around the park with a guy that had a heart problem to begin with, and John Sollenberger. But fortunately, Frank said yes, and the fact that they were both together there for so many years was marvelous. So I was glad that someone thought of having her make the presentation to Doug, because that was a master stroke on the whole evening, and the fans seemed to appreciate it, you were telling me.
Oh, there's certainly no question about it. Here in Washington tonight, as the Capitals playing the Devils, as the Capitals go, there's a lot of Hershey ties, and one of the favorite people to talk to around this league, and I know you feel no different, and that's Bruce Boudreau.
Yeah, he's sort of a dull guy, isn't he? Yes. Bruce, the good thing about him is that he'll be honest with you, and so many times we have to be political, you know, whenever we're talking about our team, because you don't want any fodder for people to hang up in their locker room. But he just blasted one of his big scorers for taking a bad penalty Saturday night in Detroit. I think that's one of the refreshing things about Bruce, is that, and we had these interviews live at the bench during the playoff series last year, and they were because whatever he's thinking to tell his team, that's what he's going to tell us. Now, in a perfect world, that's what the league had in mind when they made coaches accessible live during games. But, you know, several of them have found a way to be pretty vague and cover it up. But I think with Bruce and with Mike Babcock in Detroit, you always seem to learn something about what he's thinking and about what the game's going to become from those 30-second interviews.
Tim Leone and Bruce Boudreau combining, Bruce writing a book that'll be coming out here in 2 weeks. I had the privilege of seeing some of the liner notes, and I know your quote was in there, and there was even a reference to a radio guy I'm familiar with, something about pants in Bridgeport, I think.
Yes. You're not wearing Bruce's tonight. No, because I see that you would not need a belt to try and hold them up, and fortunately that's one of the wonderful stories. And you know, a lot of times it takes the American League for you to learn things like that, because you all travel together. You're on the bus a long period of time, and every once in a while you'll rush and put stuff in your garment bag and leave off a pair of pants. And I won't give away the whole story. Buy the book and read it. But John Walton lent him his pants, and the rest they can leave to Bruce to tell.
Well, that sounds good, Doc. Always great to see you.
Thank you. All the best to the Bears. Nice ring.